My friends, welcome to episode 44 of Prof and Dev Play Games. I am the professor, and over there is the Dev.
Hi.
How's Seattle treating you?
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah?
We've had a gorgeous week. Really nice, warm weather for us. By warm, I mean it's 80.
Dang, that's pretty warm.
It is warm, but it's nice. It's good, nice weather up here. This is the summer. It's the best time. But yeah, Seattle's fine. My wife and son are off camping since a couple days ago. They get back tomorrow. And so it's just been me and my daughter.
Have you heard from your wife and your son?
Nope. I'm sure they don't have cell service where they're at.
But you're confident they're still alive? No bears or zombies or anything?
I doubt. They're going to a populated campground, so I'm not worried, really that worried. Yeah. But now that you mention it, maybe I will start worrying. Thanks.
Sorry, man. I was about to ask you if you're anxious by nature, but I'm going to let this drop. Sorry.
So that's been fun. Mostly just, I had to work from home Thursday and Friday, but today, Saturday, plugging away with my contract stuff, actually.
Okay.
That's under a bit of crunch right now, so
yeah.
We'll get to later about what I've been playing. I've been actually working a lot, so I haven't been playing a ton.
Right.
And so, but today went into town, got some ice cream with my daughter, and walked around, caught some Pokemon with her.
I was going to say 80 degrees is pretty good Pokemon Go weather.
It is. Too bad where I live isn't the best. Isn't like where I work when I commute for tons of stuff. But yeah, it's going good up here. And you have big news. Your first episode in a new place.
That's true. This is the first episode from my new condo. We have half moved in. I've got an air mattress on the floor, and I'm currently recording from my staircase because there's no furniture. But soon enough, we'll have furniture. The house is beautiful, and we're just getting new floors in, and we're just very lucky to have moved. And we're in Seattle, or not Seattle. You're in Seattle. I'm not in Seattle. We're in San Diego proper. We're about as far away from each other on the west coast as we could possibly be.
Pretty much. And I take a lot more.
Yeah, I moved further south. So, yeah, it's nice to be close to downtown San Diego, and it used to be a 45-minute to hour drive to get down there, and now it's 10 minutes. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's really nice. Speaking of small, speaking of the opposite of small, we have a big show for you today. We're going to talk about some No Man's Sky, talk about some Sony and Nintendo stuff, and we're going to move into what we're playing and talk a little bit about the RNC, DNC. We're going to try to keep it kind of macro, kind of like from a, airplane view or 30,000 feet view or whatever.
Yeah.
Kind of talk about the RNC and DNC and what we thought about the productions and etc. But we are going to start with No Man's Sky. There was a dude. His username was Damiun.
It's a Reddit name, of course. So
of course, yeah.
Damiun.
And he paid 2,000 smackaroos to get No Man's Sky early from God knows where.
Yeah, it looked like an official disc too. Like,
sure did.
This is a printed retail boxed disc.
And he told everyone he was going to stream, and he started streaming. For a while, I don't know how long he streamed, but he's putting up videos, and then eventually Sean Murray kind of responded and said, "You guys have waited this long, just wait a little bit longer, don't spoil yourself." And there's kind of a little bit of a furor over those comments, but eventually it seems like people are pretty positive about the leak because it's shown them how awesome the game looks, and people seem to be pretty darn excited.
Yeah. The videos I watched him open the video that was him like actually opening the package.
The FedEx package, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm like, I have to see what this actually is and what it looked like. He opened that, and then I watched the installation and the intro, which didn't really give a whole lot away.
Right.
And then I watched maybe like 5 minutes of gameplay.
And what did you think?
I thought it looks really good. It looks what I was expecting. It's well polished, though.
It is.
Clearly they've spent their time polishing a large portion of this game to make it really smooth to play and I was really taken by the UI on how clean and crisp like all the UI was.
Yep. Well, you mentioned there was Destiny.
Well, you're going to see this, I think, in a lot of games going forward. So Destiny, all its menus use that virtual cursor.
Right.
Which
reticle.
Was a,
reticle.
Yeah, the reticle thing where but you use the stick. It doesn't jump between buttons. You're not navigating a menu. You're just moving that reticle around the menus, and the screen kind of parallaxes back and forth while you're doing it. Which, when you think about it, it's very mouse control, just done with the joystick. So before Destiny came out, they showed some of that, and that it got a lot of like questionable things from other console devs of like, what are you guys doing? Like, that's bizarre. Completely goes against paradigm of what UI menu should be and how you should control them.
Right.
But now you're starting to see that integrated in lots of places because it can work really well, especially games that have lots of inventory to move around. Well, and so No Man's Sky just kind of wholesale. I look at it, I'm like, okay, you wholesale lifted this.
Yeah, from Destiny. Like when you said that, and I kind of wish that I hadn't heard that when I looked at it, because as soon as I saw it, I thought, well, this looks like Destiny.
The UI does. I mean, the UI, I think, is just mostly for the fact that you should expect to see that more and more now. Oh, no. Because it's so successful and people aren't turned off by it.
But why? Why? Okay, so you said it kind of makes it easier to manage inventory. So I'm thinking of like The Witcher, where it was like you push the button and it kind of clicks to the next thing and snaps to the next item. What makes the reticle better?
You have more freedom of what you want to look at. Like, if you have a lot of stuff, you don't have to just scroll through all of it. I don't know if it's necessarily better. It's easier for devs, for creating the game in some ways. Because you don't have to get in these weird edge cases of, like, what happens if you push down when you're here.
Right.
So is it going to the right place? The other thing that I know Destiny did it for is it works really well if you don't know what the resolution of the display is going to be. Because it can scale really easily to whatever size of screen it's going to be on.
Okay.
So it's really good if you're going between 720 and 1080,
okay.
4K. Like, there's a lot of benefits to it. It's just, up until Destiny, like, most games hadn't tried it because they didn't feel like console players would be okay with it.
Yeah, it feels like a PC thing for sure.
Yeah. I don't know if I should say that. Like, I know for a fact that Destiny in-house at Bungie, they can play it on PCs. Because it's all devved on PCs.
Yeah, of course.
So they need to be able to test it.
Right.
But that reticle, you can control it with a mouse.
Well, when that came out and people saw that, they thought, does this mean there's a PC version incoming? And obviously not. But
no, they're not going to release it. But that's how they dev it and test it, because they don't need to, like, the time it would take to build it and then push it onto a machine to try to test it out is just too slow.
I would love to play Destiny with a mouse and keyboard.
It'd be nice. It's not going to happen.
No, definitely not. Well, I mean, Microsoft or Xbox is apparently going to have mouse and keyboard support, but I don't know what games it's going to support.
Yes.
Maybe just Halo Wars 2, I don't know.
Yeah, Bungie would have to want us to be able to support that. Maybe they have to. I don't know. We'll see.
No idea. Yeah.
I don't think there's any PC version incoming anytime soon.
No. Well, I have been playing a little bit more Destiny, and I'm getting a little more excited about Rise of Iron, and it's a well put together game, despite the fact that the story blows.
It is a really high quality game. Mechanically, it's really high quality. I would actually even argue that the content isn't. I mean, the story is part of that. The story sucks.
Oh, God. It's so bad.
It hasn't. What I feel like could be a very interesting universe, but it's presented very poorly. But then also, the way that they're doing their end game just doesn't grab me, honestly.
No, just the loot grind.
The loot grind, I mean, and don't get me wrong, I'm the person that played WoW for 6 years. And that's a loot grind. But the grind, to me, like, in WoW was probably one of the best grinds I've ever done. Like, I could do so many different things depending on what I wanted to do that would all get me farther closer to what I wanted, and I would see bigger gains.
Right.
Destiny, like, once I hit, I never went into rating in it, but the gains were very marginal once you got to the top end. Like, a couple points of, is it light now? I can't even remember anymore. Whatever your...
Yeah, it's light.
Once it got... It was really weird. It slowed down really fast.
Right. Well, and they've actually recently sped it up. I picked it back up about 2 weeks ago before I moved, and I started at like 278 light, and within 24 hours, like not playing, within a day, like I probably played like 3 or 4 hours total, I had jumped to like 314 or something. Yeah, that seemed pretty significant. But my problem is always with the end game content. I never try to raid because my real life friends, I couldn't get on with them at the same time, and I just had a hard time like figuring out how to get random people to, you know, from Reddit forum to like jump into the same game, and you know.
And they have strikes now. I mean,
yeah, the strikes are fine. That's what I do. Spend most of my time now playing strikes, where I get grouped up. But I really want to try a raid, and I just haven't been able to. I haven't.
Raids are going to be. I mean, it's the way raids, and they're set up in Destiny like WoW and most MMOs is, you need that consistent, dedicated group of people.
Yep.
Or you're just going to fail. Like that's how they're designed. They're designed for people that are going to keep trying over and over and over.
Right.
And I mean, I did that in WoW. I raided in WoW, and we had consistent nights that we'd play. Yep. And we'd play for 5-6 hours, and yeah, we'd hit our heads against walls for hours.
Yep.
But it was the same group of people doing this over months. And we eventually conquered everything that we tried, but it's hard to find a group of people to do that with and get into a group like that. And I don't think that Destiny really internally has a lot of stuff to get people grouped for raids.
No, it's social. Yeah, no, it doesn't at all.
So you do have to go out to Reddit and to different
the
forums and say like, hey, I'm looking for...
Yep.
But unless you can commit to being
hours
there,
and hours,
hours and hours, week after week, probably most people would be like, no, we're not going to do pickup raids.
I think my goal for August, once I get my PS4 set up, is to try to do one raid with some people and just experience it. Because I want to experience at least one of the raids from the base game or whatever, the expansions too, before the new game comes out. Because at that point, no one's going to want to play the old stuff again.
Yeah. But to loop it back around, when I look at it, I'm like, I'm probably going to just be playing No Man's Sky.
Oh, yeah, we were talking about No Man's Sky. That's right.
We were. I mean, that's because when's that expansion come out for?
September.
September, okay. Yeah, the stuff that's coming out, I mean, I have No Man's Sky, which, honestly, looking even at that, like, first 5 minutes of person playing, I was like, oh, this is going to be huge. So incredibly huge. There's that. There's, I think at the end of the month is the next Deus Ex.
Yeah, it's in August.
Every once in a while I get reminded of it. I'm like, oh yeah, I really like those games. I'm going to be playing that. And when you talk about wanting a game with a story and a good story, that one has great story.
In my playing through of Mass Effect 3, I've heard several people talk about maybe Deus Ex should be the next one you play if you like Mass Effect.
I could see that. I mean, Deus Ex is FPS, but it definitely has good writing, and your decisions do matter. Like, you have a lot of choice in that game. A lot, even more than you would have in, like, the Mass Effect games, because you can approach... you're given a goal, a mission, go do this thing. It's very open world, and it's like... It's kind of up to you to figure out how you're going to go approach it. Do you just want to go and shoot everything? Do you want to stealth in? Do you want to social engineer your way in? Like... Sky's the limit in those games. So yeah, I really enjoyed Human Revolution was the last new one.
Well, you know,
because there's the first two.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Back from the late 90s and then early 2000s, and then there's Human Revolution. Yeah, Human Revolution, and then the one coming out is Mankind Divided.
Yeah, Human Revolution, I have that on Steam, and then Mankind Divided is coming out next month. But kicking back to No Man's Sky real quick, Something that I saw in the stream was the resource collecting, where you like basically shoot a laser gun at the rocks or
Yep.
whatever, and it just kind of like plunk, plunk, plunk into your inventory. That just seems very relaxing.
It's Minecraft.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And this is definitely a game that's the resource collecting aspects of it are pulling from Minecraft. I knew that. Like they kind of showed some of that off in the trailer like a year ago. Not that it was so freeform that you could just point your gun at something and collect it, but it had the vibe of like, oh, okay, you're collecting different resources to craft different things. Okay. But yes, it's probably going to be very relaxing in that regard. And then once you're... I didn't watch long enough. Like I said, the first 5 minutes, like, I think I watched where he fell down a hole. He created a hole and fell in a hole.
Nice. I didn't see that.
He found a whole cave system.
Wow.
Yeah, because plants can have cave systems.
Right.
I remember he was bitching about being on a lava planet. But he was like, oh, I can point the gun here, and like then he just started like cutting into the ground, and he made him a tunnel into a cave, and he found a giant cave system underneath that had different minerals in it and some like plants and different life forms, and then that's where I stopped. I was like, okay,
saw enough, know it's good.
Yeah, and I saw that like just small little mechanical things of like he definitely needed to repair a bunch of stuff before he could get off planet, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I saw some heat issues where he had overheated and needed to fix his gun or something like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff where it's like it definitely started out. Whoa, what was that?
Sorry, I was opening my water bottle. Sorry, folks at home.
It just shows like I didn't realize you're going to start really with almost nothing.
Yeah,
it's like, but it's a great way to start on the. Okay, you want to start collecting stuff, fix this. You want to scan stuff, fix your scanner. Okay, you're in a hostile environment, figure out the stuff you need to get your environment suit upgraded so you can handle that environment.
Right.
Like all sorts of, I was like, oh, this is Minecraft with a point.
Yeah, it seems like it's exploration based, but you're being funneled toward something. And if you don't want to be, you can just dick around and go explore.
So, I mean, I've watched the 4 official trailers that they put out over the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just can't wait to get to me. I'm like, I just want to get in space. I want to be a pirate. I'm going to be a pirate. I'm just going to start stealing things.
So you're going to get on the PS4 then, because you can get it more quickly?
Yeah, 3 days earlier. Yeah, I know myself. I can't wait.
Well, at least you are honest.
Oh, I know myself. I'll be like, people are playing. I'm not playing. This makes me sad. I just want to play. So,
well, and you can kick back on your couch and relax.
Yeah, on the couch, and I can get trophies.
Oh yeah, that's true. Trophies are intoxicating.
They're much more intoxicating than Steam achievements.
Yeah, I don't care about Steam achievements at all. Maybe it's because it's like not... I don't know, whenever I see your name on PSN, I know what your trophy level is. And on Steam, you know your Steam level, but it's not necessarily connected to achievements, is it?
No, it's based upon a number of different things. A lot having to do with cards.
Oh, yeah. Fucking cards.
And badges.
Yeah.
Redeeming badges and how long you've been part of Steam and how many games you own, things like that.
Yeah.
So what was all the... I didn't see any of the uproar.
Well, the uproar was...
Sean Murray was like, don't spoil it for yourself. Like,
yeah, he's like, don't spoil it for yourself. And then people kind of like, on at least the No Man's Sky Reddit, which Reddit is sometimes a cesspool anyways, we're just like, if you didn't want people looking at your game, you should have shared more about it, and you guys don't know what you're doing, and just like ragging on Sean Murray about how they're rolling out this game and not letting people know what they're going to do. So of course we're so excited to find out like what happens in the game and if it's bullshit or not. And it's just like, why does anyone want to make games? God, just get yelled at.
You have to have a very thick skin. Why does anyone want to create anything?
Yeah, I guess that's true.
I would imagine what Shakespeare would be like in this day and age.
The comments on Shakespeare's
Oh
YouTube.
man, actually, I would love to make a fake Reddit thing of people like responding to Hamlet or something, and
That'd be pretty funny.
this is stupid. Everyone dies. It's dumb.
I'm sure the language would be a little bit more colorful.
Yeah. What happened to Rosencrantz and Guildenstern? Most wasted characters ever.
I would love to see a really good RPG based on Shakespeare.
I'm trying to think if there's one. There isn't one out there.
Missed opportunity, folks. Come on, get on it.
It'd be fun. There's a Hamlet like choose your own adventure like text adventure thing. I found online at one point, which was I played way longer than I should have, but
Yeah.
just like Hamlet. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
They're like, you talk to Ophelia, okay, she's there. It follows the whole story, but you're just controlling Hamlet through a text adventure.
Awesome. That sounds pretty rad.
It's random. Yeah, I don't understand why people are giving him crap about it. Like, I understand they did make a choice of not showing a lot on this game. They want it to be a mystery.
All right. Oh, and
Yes.
there's enough hype built up behind the game that I don't know if they need to show anything. But apparently people are saying, at least on the Reddit, like, this is great because we've seen more and it gets us more excited. Like, well, I think you guys are probably going to buy the game anyways. But
Yeah, pretty much. It's, I guess, nice to have anyone that had fears if it was going to look or play well.
Right.
Their fears, they can put those to rest a bit.
Well, in a couple of weeks, I'm looking forward to you telling us your thoughts on the game.
A couple weeks, I'm really excited to play it.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are. So that's going to wrap up our No Man's Sky leak discussion, and we're going to move into the news. So stay right there, and we'll be right back. All right, my friends, welcome back from the break. We are going to get into some news, and we're going to start with Sony, and Anthony's going to take it away.
So Sony released their Q1 2016, so that'd be January, February, March, numbers. The game division, they posted a 44 billion yen operating profit, which was above their operating profit from last Q1 2015, which was 19.5 billion yen. So pretty big jump there, twice the income profit.
Yeah.
But one of the big things is they sold more PS4s this quarter 2016 than first quarter 2015 worldwide.
3 million compared to 3.5 this year.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So you have to think worldwide, they're selling more than 1 million PS4s a month, which is insane.
That's
a
wow.
lot of PS4s. I mean, that was just the biggest thing. Like, the notes they have is like, yep, PS3 hardware and software sales decrease more. No shit. You're
3 years in, right?
Yeah, 3 years into a new, like, the old generation, I'm pretty sure they have to be wrapping up all their hardware there. They're going to be done with that. They did say that there is sales were up 14.5%. Foreign exchange rates kind of hit their profits.
Nintendo too, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, like that's not shocking though.
Yeah.
They sold a bunch of PS4 software sales and through PSN, which they're not releasing. But I can only imagine as the number of PS4s get sold, it goes up. The amount of PSN profit goes through the roof. And I feel like people are buying a lot more through PSN on PS4 than they were PS3.
Yeah, I think the prevalence of Steam, at least like digital games, are becoming. It's the future. Like, I mean, obviously on PC. Like, when's the last time someone bought a physical PC game? But that's gonna come to consoles as soon as the price parity gets unshackled from the physical games, which won't happen until they don't need GameStop or whatever to sell their consoles anymore.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes. Be a while before that happens, though, I think.
The other thing that struck out to me from here is that the game division posted 44 billion yen operating profit, and the company as a whole posted 21 billion yen. So I wonder how much the games division is kind of buoying the rest of the company at this point.
A lot.
Yeah,
I do know that's like one of the most profitable divisions of the company. Like their TV sales are down.
right.
I mean, let's be honest. Portable music stuff down. They lost that market with the Walkmans, Discman stuff when they didn't pick it
iPod.
when the iPod came out and things like that. They never regained anything from that. So I'm not really. There's a lot of stuff I think weighing down their business. They've talked about spinning the game business off as its own thing before too. I don't know from this if investors would ask for that to happen again, but I could. Here. I mean, they're selling their battery business.
Yeah,
so,
divesting.
I think they're just going to be divesting, like getting rid of a lot of their older stuff and
good.
Kind of the business models, the businesses that aren't working anymore. Like,
yeah, that's right.
They're a diverse company that do a lot of things. So,
and their batteries suck.
Yeah, they
DS4
explode.
battery. Oh, did they explode? I was talking about the DS4 not lasting very long.
I mean, it's a lithium-ion battery. I wonder if... I don't know if it was them. But yeah. That's not because the battery sucks. It's just not that big of a battery.
Right.
They should really just use a bigger battery.
Right, and the foresight of what to put in the battery or the controller.
Yeah. But then you have to balance the weight of the controller.
Yeah, that's true. And it is a pretty nice light controller.
Stop
talking logic to me.
It's not logic. Like, hopefully there'll be newer revisions of the DualShock with better battery, because there are better batteries out there now.
I wish that Sony would do what Microsoft is doing with all these different kinds of controllers. Like, I just like controllers. Like, make a new DS4, or like make a Elite DS4. I'd buy that in a second.
I still want the 20th anniversary.
Oh yeah, the gray one.
Yeah. I need to get that at some point. That's what I want for my other controller.
Nice. Well,
but I have plenty of money I could spend other places.
Yeah, how many games is that?
How many games is that, and plus all the stuff I have to do at my house? So.
Yeah, that's true. I was just speaking of your gaming budget.
Which is minor compared to what it used to be.
Well, if you have a tight gaming budget, there are a couple of free games coming out.
Yeah, there are.
For PS4. We've got 2 games coming out for August, and it's Tricky Towers, which kind of looks like a Tetris multiplayer, kind of battling. I don't know.
It's weird. Anything that you take Tetris and you're adding more to it, I'm like, okay.
Yep.
I'll give it a shot. But
looks like kind of a fun party game. Like I thought last month, I think it was this month, wasn't it? When Fury came out?
Yeah.
Or Furry, I don't know how they say it.
I think it's Fury.
Oh, okay, Fury. I thought it didn't look very good, and I played it, and I played it, and played it.
Yeah, I haven't got a chance to play it. I've heard really good things about it, though.
It's fun. I've gotten through the second boss, and it's fun. It's just boss rush, and it looks like Hyper Light Drifter, basically.
No bad thing.
Yeah, and the other game is a game that I just bought on PC. Damn it.
That I own on PC.
Rebel Galaxy. Speaking of being a space pirate, Rebel Galaxy is coming to PS4 for PS Plus members for free.
Which is a really good game. I recommend everyone pick that one up and try it out. I'm going to even try it out on the PS4 once it's up there again.
Well, now that I have the choice between PC and PS4, I'm going for the trophies.
That's a good point. So yeah, I mean, I think some decent quality stuff there. Those are the PS4 ones. Did they have anything for Vita?
Yeah, there was Patapon 3.
Okay.
Which is a PSP game. I can't remember the other one. They're basically running out of games to post. You know what? I wanted to ask you, actually. So PSVR comes out.
Yep.
Is there a chance that PSVR joins the PS Plus games lineup and they drop Vita or PS3?
I don't know if they'll drop, but I could definitely see them putting out at least one free VR thing a month.
Mm-hmm.
Just to entice people.
Some sort of experience.
Yeah, I definitely would not be shocked there. I don't see that they're... I think they won't drop PS3 for a while. just
There's
because
still
they
too
have
many
such
of them.
a big catalog they can pull from.
Yeah.
But I could see them dropping Vita eventually and just be like, yeah, whatever. No one cares about Vita.
They pretty much already have dropped the Vita.
Yeah.
Oh, poor Vita.
Well, later on in the news, we can get to portable gaming again.
Yes, we can. Before we get there, we got one more Sony
I know.
piece of news. You want to take that one?
Sure. So Adam Boyes has joined a company, or announced where he was going after leaving. So he's joining this indie dev called Iron Galaxy.
Yeah.
I had to look him up. I'm like, I have no clue.
Killer Instinct, man.
Yeah, from Killer Instinct. But basically, I look at him. Anything they've done before that, they've been a big contract company.
Well, I'm pretty sure they're the ones that messed up the Arkham Knight PC port. I'm almost certain that was them.
I'd have to check on that.
You talk, I'll check.
Okay, so this is where he's going. He's joining as the CEO, their current CEO, who he's definitely has a long-time friendship with, is stepping aside. I don't know what role he's going into. They did the ports. Iron Galaxy did the ports of Destiny for the PlayStation 3, and they did BioShock Infinite for consoles. So, I mean, they've done a few of their own things, small. Dive Kick. I've heard of Dive Kick. I've seen people play Dive Kick at PAX. But really, when I've looked through their big things that they've worked on, is they do a lot of porting.
And they also they ported Arkham Knight and Arkham Origins.
Okay.
So there you go.
That's just... And so my hope is with Boyes going there, especially as CEO, that they're going to make the case to try to get out of the porting business.
And
try to get bigger publisher investment to make bigger games of their own. That would make a lot more sense because Boyes wanted to get back to making games, and I'm pretty sure he's not talking about just ports.
Right.
So I would expect, give it about 9 months to a year, and you'll hear some more out of them. And what he's been up to. I wouldn't be surprised if they're going to they'd sign a publishing agreement somewhere. Maybe even with Sony. Because I hear Boyes has good connections at Sony.
You know what? I've heard the same thing.
I wouldn't be shocked if that's the case.
Yeah. So I saw someone say something like, "Oh, maybe we'll see Killer Instinct on PS4." Like, no, you absolutely will not.
No.
So you'll see it on PC. You can pick it up there.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see as time goes on. I think Boyes and CEO role is a good place. He won't be involved directly with the games anymore, but he'll be directing that company, working on, for the most part, being the face of that entire company now. And hopefully he can guide them to really cool things.
Yeah, I think there's a high likelihood of that happening.
There is. He has connections. And he's got a good chance at it.
Well, it's always great to see competent studios. I know some of their ports have been crap, but overall, the stuff they've done has been pretty good.
They've stayed in the game industry. So there are 130 people in 2 studios in Chicago and Orlando. The fact that they've been around as long as they have and can employ 130 people under 2 studios, they're doing fine.
Yeah.
They're definitely being run competently. I definitely feel like this is just their move to push. It's really easy for studios, especially studios that do work for hire for other companies, to get stuck in that treadmill of, well, we ought to put all our resources into just keeping everyone paid, so we better take these contracts from other studios to do ports or whatever they need.
Right.
And it's hard to find the time to do your own stuff.
Right.
So I'm hoping this will just kind of kick them out of that rut to just do your own stuff.
Well, and I think, too, the fact that Killer Instinct is having a definitive edition put out, maybe they're about done with Killer Instinct.
It's possible.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, who knows? Maybe there'll be another Killer Instinct, or I don't know Microsoft's plans on that. So
yeah, I don't know. I don't think I've heard anything about it.
So, but Definitive Edition definitely sounds like it's the end of content for that game. New content. There'll probably be patches and
that's right,
balance stuff, but
exactly.
Don't expect like more characters off anytime soon.
Yeah, we might be done with the seasons. This is season 3 that's happening right now, and then that might be it. Good game, solid game for sure. And I love the cameos at this point.
Yeah,
that's really fun. So that's the Sony side of our news, and we have a Nintendo side of our news.
I know.
And I want to throw one in here that's actually not on our show tracker. Did you hear when Nintendo came out and said, we're excited about Pokemon Go, but we want to let you know that we don't actually own it or Niantic, and their stock dropped 18%.
Yep.
Which is, on the Nikkei, is the most a stock can drop legally. Once they hit 18, they halt trading, or I don't know how they do it, but it can't drop any more than 18% in a day.
It's not shocking.
No.
I brought that up, a couple weeks ago?
Yep.
I mean, investors are idiots.
That's actually the question I was going to bring up. Like, if you're investing X amount of money into a, 5 figures, 6 figures, or whatever, into a company, don't you know what they own and what they don't own?
No.
God.
Seriously, investors are idiots. Sorry, any investors that listen to this. You might not be, but a lot of people just don't do the research. They're just like, oh, this thing's in the news, seems to be doing well, let's put money there.
Right.
And the news was associating it with Nintendo, because Pokemon is associated with Nintendo.
Right.
Not that they own it, but Pokemon's on their consoles. Only on their consoles. So,
exactly.
It's just funny. Of course their stock dropped. I really should have shorted them if I'd really thought about it.
I know, I was saying the same
weeks
thing.
Before I should have just bought some Nintendo stock. And then just sold it a week after.
Right. Hindsight is always 20/20.
I know. I don't really look at the stock market that much. I'm not one that sits there and even thinks about investing. That's the thing. I'm not like, oh, what's the next thing I can invest in? No.
I look at my stocks every day, and I shouldn't. But one of my stocks is Qualcomm, and we've had it for 6, 7, 8 years. I don't know what, but 3 years ago it had gotten to the point where it was double what we paid for it. So my goal has always been to sell it when it was double. And we happened to be going out to Lake Arrowhead where there was no service. As we were going out, I saw that it hit the double mark, so I could sell it, but I couldn't sell it until I got back to my PC. When I got back to my PC 3 days later, it had dropped $25.
Oh.
It just crushed me. But it slowly climbed back, and 2 weeks ago or a week ago or whatever, it had jumped almost, I think it was $8 or so, and I was like, what the hell? I opened the news, and the first news item is about chipsets and Pokemon Go, and I was like, what? How is Qualcomm related to Pokemon Go?
Phones.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, oh my god, are you serious?
Yeah.
A rising tide lifts all boats, I guess.
Which is really funny, because it's not like the market on how many chipsets they're selling is changing.
Right.
People aren't buying phones for Pokemon. They might be...
They're buying battery packs.
They're buying battery packs. They might be upgrading phones, but it's not drastically changing the market of people getting smartphones.
Right.
That's been pretty well set for the last few years.
Right.
It's just funny. That's just a weird investment thing. They're anything associated with Pokemon Go, where it's played, what people use while playing it, stocks go through the roof.
It did. It was hilarious. So I hope that keeps going just for our sake.
Are you almost back to double?
We're $20 away.
Okay.
$20 a share, so it'll take a while if it gets up there again. Speaking of shares and investors, the investors meeting with Nintendo, and when they reported their losses this time, they also mentioned that the Wii is no longer an active product. Their final sales, they sold 101 million hardware units and then 914 million software units.
So almost 1 billion software units.
Yeah, that was
and that's an insane.
That was a successful console.
Yeah. That's about 30 million more consoles. 25, 30 million more consoles than the PS3 or the Xbox 360. Almost certain.
I think the PS1. Okay, according to this, the PS1 is number. So, original PlayStation is number 2 on the list, and the Wii is number 3 on the list. Who's number 1? Is it the original Nintendo?
I don't think so. Oh, yeah. PS2, actually. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Just trying to see how many that the... Can't see that. Yeah, I'm almost certain the PS2 is the one. Which are like 100 and... some ridiculous... Yeah, PlayStation 2. More than 155 million.
Damn, okay. So that was way more than the Wii. Even though the Wii sold gangbusters.
So that Nintendo DS is 154 million.
Well, it's interesting when you had that conversation, because it's like, this is the console list. Well, the DS doesn't count because it was a handheld, but neither does the Game Boy. But those sold tons.
Those are 2 and 3 if you put them in there.
Yeah, right.
And then the original PlayStation, 102, and then the Wii. And then... No, the 360 and the PS3 both sold right around 84 million.
Yeah. So the Wii is right behind the PS2 by like 500,000? Or half?
No.
No? 101 versus 102?
Original PlayStation. PlayStation 2 is 155. It's 50 some odd million.
Got it.
The PlayStation 2 sold a ton. But I know that the PS4, actually, if it stays on track, is selling at a faster pace than the PlayStation 2 has been selling.
Right. Yeah, I wonder if there's a ceiling for that. Like when they bring out, when they diversify the SKUs for the PS4, like the not Scorpio, that's on Microsoft, the Neo. Neo?
Yeah.
Yeah, the Neo. If that's going to count as a different SKU.
No, it will count as the same thing.
Okay.
Like in these lists, I mean, the 360, you had the S.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Vision that. The PlayStation, even the original PlayStation, there was PlayStation and PlayStation 1. There was multiple revisions. The PlayStation 2 had multiple revisions.
Okay, so those all count. I guess
that's the family.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So it will count in there. So PlayStation 4 is at 40 million so far, cranking along.
Do you think that the Nintendo's next console is gonna be able to hit these kind of numbers? The old NX.
I'm not going to bet on it right now.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Just put it that way.
But there is some news about the NX.
There's a lot of news about this thing.
And these rumors that are swirling kind of keep repeating, so there's got to be a lot of truth in this at this point.
I think so.
This is from Eurogamer. Eurogamer is basically saying the NX will be a portable, handheld console with detachable controllers. A number of sources have confirmed to Eurogamer. And if you look at this picture, it's like the controllers. Imagine like a narrow iPad, and then you plug controllers like the D-pad to the left side, and then the buttons to the right, and there's the
sticks.
The sticks, thank you. And then they come off. And I'm not sure exactly what the coming off does.
So basically, from what I'm reading, is so they can cut. So you can hold it with them attached, and it's like a portable gaming device.
Right.
Then you can detach them and either have the screen that you're using there, the portable screen, or you can attach that into a TV. And those 2 sticks that come off are 2 controllers that you and someone else can play with.
Oh. Okay.
So you could just hand one of the sides to someone else and then just sit there and play a game.
And
so think if you had Smash.
Yeah, and just pass it out to someone.
It's like, all right, I'm setting this thing up. Let's play.
And then you could use the screen as like your TV screen or beam it to the actual TV.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very interesting idea.
And then the other thing is we're back to the physical media again.
Yeah.
32 gigs being the suggestion that Nintendo's recommending.
Yeah, it's just everyone's like it's a cartridge. I mean, it's going to be a flash chip. It probably looks similar to a DS cartridge.
Right. Yeah, they're showing like I guess this is the original Game Boy cartridge here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I assume it's going to be like a flash stick or something.
It's just going to be a small thing. Probably not too small because they don't want them easily lost or damaged. But
right.
I really think it will be roughly the same size as the 3DS cartridge. Honestly, it could even be a 3DS cartridge, and they'll just allow. I wonder if 3DS games could be played on here.
Yeah, we always talk about backwards compatibility in terms of the Wii U, but if this is where they're going, I would bet money that it's going to be backwards compatible with their more popular systems, which would be the DS and the 3DS.
I mean, that'd be really cool.
Well, and the DS was one of their biggest selling consoles of all time, so they can, if they're harkening back to the nostalgia of the NES with the NES Classic, they could also harken back to the nostalgia of the DS with the NX.
Yeah.
So,
if they do flash stuff, they're saying like a 32 gigabyte cartridge, but I mean it's flash, so I mean if there are games that want to go bigger than that, it should not be hard to go 64, 128,
right.
Like
with the same cartridge size.
Yeah, just have a different flash chip inside. The other interesting thing was, and this is where I'm like, why I don't want to bet on it. It sounds like it's using NVIDIA. Their mobile chipset, the Tegra.
Right.
Tegra something. It's probably not the Tegra. I was reading a bunch. It's probably not the Tegra X that's out right now. X1. It's probably, but the X2 isn't out yet. So it's either running Tegra X2 or some hybrid between the two. And I don't, honestly, this isn't going to be, even the X2 isn't going to be a chipset that rivals the PS4, Xbox One. Like, it's still a mobile chipset. Like, and it's different. This is not just going to be a thing where you're going to make it easy for third parties to put games on this.
Man, if that's true, that this thing's dead in the water.
Yes and no. It's kind of a weird thing. It depends on the price, and I'm wondering if they're angling it to be, sure, you have a PS4 and or an Xbox One, or both. This does something that those don't.
Yeah, that's true.
This is a portable thing that also hooks up to a TV, but gives you flexibility. And if the price is right for it, I could see people just picking this up as... I mean, there's the hardcore Nintendo people that just want it. But then more people being like, okay, I want something I can take with me on the go.
Then that couldn't be any more than $200 in my view.
That's kind of where... I bet they'll push to $250 when this comes out.
I mean,
which the Wii was $250 when it came out, I believe.
Right. But the Wii U was $350, wasn't it? It was a more successful
something
console.
Like that. Yeah.
I mean, if it's $200, that's going to be an easy purchase for me. But anything more than that is going to make me think, unless the features are too cool to ignore. I do like the idea of having a portable where I can come home and stick it right in the TV and just keep going.
I mean, let's be honest, they're going to be launching with Zelda most likely.
Yeah, but I have a Wii U, so I tell myself,
you do. Well,
I'll play it on the Wii U, but then I think, okay, so the 3DS, when I play Smash Brothers 3DS, it is basically maxing out my 3DS. It's really slow, and it kind of takes a long time to load, and there's not, it's not as pretty as the Wii U version. There's not as much going on the screen. Do I want a subpar Zelda experience, or do I want the real thing? So, I don't know, man.
I know. We'll see. There's a lot of news on this. Like, just sitting here thinking about it, it has me excited only because they're trying. Again, Nintendo, they're like, we're going to do something different, our own. And in some ways, if Nintendo has a good chance of pulling it off, they've done it before. Yeah. So... They've also flopped before.
Yeah, this might be their last hurrah. Like, this is
they're going to try it, but I mean, it's kind of the correct route whenever, like, your mobile, your handheld stuff is definitely the most successful.
Right.
To bridge that gap.
Yep.
Into being like, no, this is the actual successor to, like, the 3DS.
Right.
But it also is the next home console.
Well, it's an interesting way to go, too, in terms of them saying, let's double down on our most successful division, which is the handheld, but we're not going to abandon consoles. So we're going to fold them both into one and do it in a smart way. And that's, as opposed to trying to support software for both 3DS and Wii U and failing on one and neglecting the other or whatever, they can just put all their attention, all their studios, their limited resources onto one platform.
It's true. This could be really cool.
Yeah.
And honestly, get a Pokemon game on there quickly.
Dude, this needs to launch with like a Pokemon Go something or other. Like, you can take this around. Like, if it has a 3G connection, like make a Pokemon Go, 2 or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
just put Pokemon Go on it.
Yeah, right. Then that might be enough.
Oh, it's exciting though. It definitely sounds like September we'll hear more about it.
I believe.
I think that's what the rumors have all been pointing to, and they've been.
It makes sense. 6 months.
Alluding to like September being the time frame, because the rumors now are saying that this that it's due to launch in March 2017.
Well, I don't think that's a rumor. I think Nintendo confirmed that.
I think they have said that. That's still for them who have not actually officially released any info on this.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a short time frame. Like, this thing has to be ready to go into production very soon.
Right.
To start getting a stockpile
right.
Ready for launch. Because who knows how many they can produce a month.
Well, and the amount of, I don't know, hemming and hawing I've done about the NX, like, I can see myself in 2 months procuring this as soon as I can.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And then said other third parties have announced plans.
Yeah. I mean,
there are third parties that are interested in it, so...
But, I mean, like Ubisoft, for example, has made some pretty positive public comments, but they did about the Wii U, too. And they put some things out, and then they just stopped because it wasn't profitable at that point.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, this is... it's a big one. We'll see... Nintendo is going to shake things up no matter what. Like, people are going to be like, what?
Right. Well, and to launch with Zelda, like, I'm just praying to God. In September, they say, we're launching with Mario, Zelda, and Metroid. Let's go. And also, we're launching with NX ports of Smash and Mario Kart 8. And they can continue with Mario Maker, too. Like, let's just launch with tons of software. Like, make it irresistible.
And they said, Oh, it's going to be interesting. So let's see. Hopefully September they'll talk about it.
Yeah.
They said they won't sell it at a loss, so I don't know if this thing can be that cheap.
They refuse to do that. They're not going to sell it. I mean, the Wii U is still $300.
Yeah.
But that's a console that we're going to be playing stuff on eventually. But the next section, we're going to talk about things that we're playing right now. So hold on tight, and we'll be right back. All right, my friends, welcome back from the break. We are here to talk about the things we are actually playing right now. And I think Anthony has a short list because he has been working on games and not
I have been working on games, and when you work on games a lot, sometimes the last thing you want to do is put brain power into playing games. Mostly because I'm mentally taxed by the time I get home.
So you're playing quote-unquote casual games this week.
I guess so, kind of. So Pokemon Go I'm still playing, and I do that mostly on my commute. And then I'll use it as an excuse to... we've been working so much, I usually have been in the office. I don't actually leave during the day. I just eat my lunch there. But more and more I use Pokemon Go to just kind of get out for half an hour, 45 minutes, just walk around. Mm-hmm. There's a really good park right next to where I work, and I can just wander through there, get out in the sun. So I'm still really enjoying the game. It is definitely... I have now... My Pokedex is... I've caught 98 different Pokemon, and I've seen 98. And I think there's 151 total. And I think like 6 or 7 you can't find yet. So I'm doing pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of shocked on how much, like, usually... It's slowed down, but... I mean, all last week, like, every day I found a new Pokemon. Which I'm shocked. I'm like, oh, today's the day that I'm not going to find anything new. Like, and yet, I still do find something new, which is kind of crazy.
Well, I'm surprised that your met to caught ratio is 1-to-1, like of
It
types.
wasn't. It wasn't for a long time,
Oh, okay.
but I definitely. That's what kind of happened this last week. I found some stuff that I had met previously that I finally was able to catch. So yeah, it's really good. The servers are much better. As I found out, I think today or yesterday, they clearly are rotating what spawns where.
Mm-hmm.
Because there was on the Pokemon Go, especially Seattle subreddit, there's a huge thing of like all these places that were consistently known for certain Pokemon spawning all switched yesterday.
Okay.
So Niantic is switching this stuff around and cycling. Like now Seattle has access to some Pokemon that people couldn't find before. So I don't... Behind the scenes, Niantic is doing things. They're not telling people they're doing things, but it's happening. So it creates this weird ripple effect of word of mouth of people now talking about the game again, getting excited to go back out and see how things have changed.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see how, as they get their feet under them again, how this game continues and keeps people excited, just by simply changing itself every month.
Yeah, I imagine that they're going to have to put new stuff out, or new features, or new whatever, every couple of weeks to keep people invested.
Yeah. But this actually I think is enough for a little bit. Again, because they don't... This is a weird thing, is they're doing the thing where they don't tell people that this is happening, so they watch the community and watch people just talk about it, which sparks interest and keeps mindshare. It's kind of what Minecraft did back when Minecraft was really... Before it was on any consoles, when it was just PC, and before it was 1.0 released, you knew every Friday there was going to be a Minecraft patch.
Right.
You didn't know it was going to be in that patch. There were no patch notes. It just updated. And then people would try to figure out all the new crafting recipes, new biomes that were added, new monsters, creatures. Like, this went on for a while. But it created a community. It's a great way to create community if you have to get enough people playing, but once you get over that threshold, it creates just tons of excitement to do it. Be a little bit more obscure with your patches.
Yeah, because then it encourages people to dig in and explore and talk about it. It builds
and
that,
talk to each other, creates community.
Exactly.
It's
that
really
water cooler effect.
Yeah, but you do have to reach a certain threshold. I do not recommend anyone trying that if your game's only played by like a couple hundred people.
Yeah.
So yeah, I played that, and then the NDA dropped for a thing that I've been in for a bit, which is the Elder Scrolls Legends, which is their card game.
Right.
So yeah, it's like Hearthstone, somewhat. I mean, it's a digital card game, Magic-y like, but they do a lot of... there's a lot of focus, like what I haven't played any online stuff, focused on single-player story. So like there's chapters you're playing, and like
that's cool.
It's like acts, and you're playing through a story. And I just got to a weird one last night where it's like, okay, I beat a mission, come out, and it's like, okay, you get the epilogue, and it's like, you've just defeated some bandits, their leader there, you have their leader, the merchants who the bandits were trying to steal from want you to kill the leader, or you can spare them, and it's a card choice that you make. Like a permanent card you get in your deck.
Wow.
Do you want to spare or kill? And it's a different card, and you have to choose one.
I like this idea.
It's some interesting ideas there. As you level up, certain cards level up and get upgraded.
Uh-huh.
So like your starters get better. It's interesting. It has interesting ideas. It feels like more of a story being told.
That's cool to
so
take.
far.
That's cool to take like the kind of the Hearthstone formula or whatever, the Magic the Gathering formula, but give it like a few more features that kind of get people's interest. Because for me, for example, when I knew this was coming out, I just thought, oh, it's another card game. I don't really care. But that makes me interested in it, and it's something that I didn't think about before.
It's doing some new and interesting things. It's still a card game, but
right.
They're trying to differentiate themselves, which I appreciate, and it's generally polished. I don't know when it will actually be out. But yeah, I've just been playing a little bit of that. I'll probably play a few more games of it tonight before going to bed.
Nice. And that releases next year or this fall?
I think so. I would imagine it would be either late this fall or next year.
Yeah. Okay.
Hard to tell. I don't know how much content they actually have in this beta that I'm playing. So
how much more they're building? Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to know.
Well, on my side, I'm playing 2 story-based games, and the first one is Mass Effect 3. I misquoted to you before how long I had played. I looked at my clock, and I've only actually played for about 7.5 hours. I thought I had played for 16, but that was totally wrong. I just finished the Tachanka.
Yeah. So everyone, there's probably spoilers here.
Oh yeah, Mass Effect spoilers. So, 3, 2, 1. I got to the point where Morden died.
Oh, so sad.
It was. It really affected me. And in Mass Effect 2, honestly, he drove me nuts. But the pacing, the storytelling in 3 is just so good. So you find, if he's still alive from your suicide mission from Mass Effect 2, he's one of the scientists you find, I think, on Tachanka. I think it's there, right? When he goes down?
No, don't you find him whenever you're getting the Krogan female?
Yes, that wasn't Tachanka?
You're breaking... I don't think that's Tachanka.
Oh, okay.
You take her to Tachanka.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you go down.
Oh, you're getting him from Cerberus. That's right.
Yeah, right. So he's there, and then he's part of the mission to bring her to Tachanka, and he's going to spread the
cure for the
genophage, exactly. And then in doing that, he dies because there's no way for him to get out alive.
Nope. So you get to that point. He's going to the elevator. You can try to stop him.
And does it work?
So, I mean, this is spoiler free for you. I didn't do this, but I have watched what people consider the complete asshole way to play Mass Effect 3. So you can say no, don't do this, don't cure the genophage. That is an option you can do. Mm-hmm. It's don't cure the genophage. Completely something you can do. And he disagrees. He's going to cure it. So he turns his back, he starts walking into the elevator. The little renegade icon appears.
No way.
You can shoot him in the back.
No way.
Yeah, and he basically bleeds out in the elevator as it gets going up. He doesn't bleed. He tries to crawl across the floor, but dies before.
Oh my god! How could anyone play the game like that?
It's a brutal. There's just a YouTube video that compiles all these just awful things that you can do in the game. You can kill so many people.
Oh my god! That would just be so depressed playing like
that. And if you don't cure the genophage, I think. And if Rex is still alive, at least, he can find out you didn't cure it, and he comes to kill Shepard.
Wow!
At the Citadel,
right?
And then you kill him.
Oh my god!
You can play these games like a complete and total dick.
I don't think that I could play full Renegade then. That just...
Oh yeah, you're an asshole. You are mean.
The thing that I like about this game is that the community that I'm building over 3 games. I love games that build community, and I just feel like I know these characters, and I'm so invested in them. I couldn't shoot him in the back. My God.
Yeah.
Wow.
No, that was I did really enjoy that part of Tachanka, though. He cured the genophage, and just his final, goodbye.
Yep.
I mean, it's totally him. Just it
had to be me.
Someone else would get it would get it wrong, or
right,
or no one. Can't do the line exactly, but yeah, it was. It's weird. They had, you mentioned, you've spent so much time with these characters between Mass Effect 1 and 2 that even if you didn't really like them, you kind of feel like you know them.
Exactly.
And I would say his death and I would say most of the characters through 3 all get really great stories. Really finish off their themes and what they've been going for.
Right.
For their character.
I know that the ending of this game is panned, and that kind of colors people's view of the entire game, but so far, Mass Effect 3 is by far my favorite of the series, and it's because it's been built up into 3. I've had 2 games, so it makes the emotional payoff, a lot stronger.
Once you get your computer back up and running, you play more into it, and whenever you beat it, I will tell you the exact moment when the game went from being absolutely amazing to having a crap ending and being okay.
Oh man,
there's an exact moment,
yeah,
when the writing changes, and you can tell.
Was it a different writer at that point?
So the way this had worked was that there was a team that wrote the Mass Effect games. Like, there was a writing team.
Mm-hmm.
They all edited themselves. They brought their scripts. They were all assigned different characters and different missions, but they all had input, and they could veto and give suggestions, except at the very end.
Oh.
Where Casey Hudson and the other head writer went into a room and wrote the end of the game and did not let anyone else review it.
That sucks. Why change your process at that point?
They had the ending that they wanted to tell.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. It did not go through the normal BioWare writing staff to do that. And I don't know. You're going to get the extended ending anyway.
Yeah, right, exactly.
I actually haven't played.
Oh, okay.
I played back through it to get all that, because that didn't exist when I beat it.
Right.
And so I don't know how much that improves things and fleshes some of this out. But without it, yeah, it was a clear, like, okay, this feels really different now. And I thought the game should have ended there, but it's not ending. Okay. Let's just keep going. And then and it's not that the individual stories are amazing. It's just that ending just tarnishes it. You're just like, man, it was good. But then you've kind of just tainted my memory of all of this, because I ended on a kind of a whimper.
Right. That's the impression I've got from people who, adore the trilogy, and it's just this, you're building toward this huge crescendo, and then there's just this bleh. So,
kind of, yeah. It's hard to stick the ending on these things.
It really is. So, and for me, and Stephen King says this a lot about his work. It's like, it's about the journey, not the destination. Like, it's so amazing throughout, and it's hard to end these things. It's hard to stick the landing. The other game that I'm playing is Fire Emblem Birthright. I'm on chapter 17 out of 26 right now, so I'm kind of I'm just about to enter the last third. Still great. I'm overpowered. I lost a character last chapter, and I just let her die. And then this chapter, I got to the very end, and one of my favorite characters died because I left her out by herself, and I just said, screw it, I'm going to reset it. So I immediately hit LR and start, and then it just resets, so I'll pick that back up soon. But it's just more Fire Emblem. It's great, and not much more to say. Story's kind of blah, but I don't play it for the story. I play it for the strategy, the tactics.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's what I'm playing, and not much this week because of my move. I haven't played Mass Effect since last Monday, and we're recording Saturday right now. And I've just been playing DS since then, or 3DS.
Your stuff gets there Monday?
Monday,
You have to unpack.
Yep, gotta unpack.
Get stuff set up.
Gotta get my desk, figure out how I'm gonna run my Ethernet through the house, and hook up, and...
Maybe about midweek you can put some time in.
Yeah. And it doesn't need the internet anyway, so I can play it anywhere. Or without Ethernet, of course. So yeah, that's my gaming. When we come back, we're going to click off of gaming and pick up some political talk. So if you're not interested in politics, we'll say goodnight here, and we'll see you next week for episode 45. But if you are interested, Anthony and I are going to talk a little bit about the RNC and the DNC, which just happened over the last 2 weeks. So stay right there, and we will be right back. All right, my friends, welcome back from the break. We are here in our off-topic section. We're going to talk about the Republican National Convention and the Democratic National Convention from probably a view of 30,000 feet. Just give a general overview. For me, real quick, it was interesting going into the RNC with the Republican candidate Donald Trump talking about how it was going to be kind of like a Hollywood show. Like, he knows how to put on shows, and it's going to be all these stars and all these athletes.
And then everyone backed out.
And then everyone backed out. It quickly disintegrated into a lot of B-list people. Scott Baio, some soap star.
I mean, it wasn't a lot of memorable stuff. Like, really, a lot of people were just like, I do not want to be associated with this.
Yeah, and it was interesting before, like, how much Trump was saying, like, I'm a showman. I know how to put on shows. We're going to make it the best thing ever. It's going to be so unique, so interesting. And then now that the ratings for the RNC were actually lower than the DNC for the first 3 days, the only thing that was higher rated for the RNC was Trump's speech. It got more than Hillary's speech. And some people were tuning in because they want to listen to him. Some people were tuning in to hear what crazy things he would say, and some people tuned in to watch a train wreck, basically. So who knows? But now he's saying, well, I wasn't involved. I had nothing to do with it. So the story's kind of changing a little bit. But overall, it was supposed to be a spectacle, and it didn't seem like one. I think
not really.
The biggest story for me was the Melania Trump speech that had some of Michelle Obama's speech in it.
Yeah. Which seemed to die out really quickly.
Yeah.
It was like, I mean, we can be like, oh, yay, plagiarize stuff, but, I mean, political speeches get plagiarized all the time. It's not really something that sticks around, honestly.
Yeah,
it's not a memorable story. Like, it just flares up and then dies. And look at a week later, no one even is talking about it.
Right. The interesting thing for me is that, like, a generation later, it has a little impact. Like, Joe Biden, when he was running for Senate, no, he was running for president in '88, I believe. And he had plagiarized part of his speech, and it was like a huge scandal, and he had to drop out because of that.
Yeah, I could totally see it. I can see it not being a thing anymore. I mean, there's always the brought up, like, Obama got flack about it during his original, was it 2008 election?
When he was first elected?
Yeah, he had a speech that plagiarized a few lines. But later came out that the guy who wrote the original speech, like,
wrote part of his speech.
Yeah, they had talked.
Well, and
they used the same lines. Like, he's like, yeah, I'm taking some of my own stuff. I mean, it was a little bit of even back then, it, like, flared up a bit, but then it also didn't seem like it was going to be that big of a deal overall. Like, people are quick to forget about it or care about it.
Well, and after the Melania thing, when Trump gave his speech, there were some plagiarized lines, and the speechwriter came out and said, yeah, they plagiarized me. I wrote those lines, and I wrote part of his speech. Like, I quoted myself.
Yeah.
So, not quite the same.
Either way.
But
that was just kind of like, okay.
Well, the funniest thing about it for me was just kind of reading people's comments about, like, that's not plagiarism. Plagiarism is only if you copy more than 25% and all these different, like, rules about plagiarism. I'm just like, oh my god, you guys are my students. This is what my students say to me all the time. Like, well, I didn't know what to say, so I just used their words. It seemed better than mine. It's not really plagiarism because it's only like 2 lines. Like, no, that's not how this works.
I knew at my college there was definitely God, I can't remember what year it was. There was someone that was very close to getting kicked out of school because of plagiarism.
Yeah, it's a serious academic...
An academic, they're like, no, do not do that shit.
You're breaking the law, yeah. In my class, like, you do it once, you get a stern talking to and a 0 on that paper. You do it a second time, you get a 0 in the class, and you're done.
Yep.
Which is hard teaching ESL, where the students are coming from different cultures, and in some cultures, it's respectful to plagiarize. Like, you're expected to plagiarize, and it's showing deference to your elders, and it's a fine line because you're trying to teach American culture without being like an imperialist. But there is a set of rules that we expect, and you have to adhere to them. So
I mean, I would say with you, the RNC, when I'm talking about it was going to be such a show, it was okay. It was a convention.
Yeah.
The DNC. That was a show.
That was a show. That was...
That had production value. I was kind of amazed at the production value, really.
And it was so well organized. It did have a lot of stars.
It did.
You know, really, Katy Perry, Boyz II Men, those kind of entertainment stars, but also just a ton of like political stars. Like, I'm a political nerd. I love this stuff. And like just the amount of people who were there, like there weren't the high power political figures weren't really in the RNC so much, but there were a ton at the DNC.
Yeah. I just feel like that's, in a weird way, they clearly had planned how they were going to respond to everything.
Oh, yeah.
They knew what they needed to do. Whoever, people involved with putting it all together knew, like, okay, we have to go, we're going. Politics is a game. They knew, for them, DNC, they know Trump is the enemy, the boss. So how do you prepare for that? And clearly they did. They knew what they needed to line up. They knew what themes they should carry through the entire convention. And definitely the DNC convention definitely had themes that I honestly didn't completely expect. Specifically the American exceptionalism aspect of it. Like, that's not something you tend to see at the DNC conventions.
No,
like,
that's a Republican thing.
They don't. It's not like the previous DNC conventions or Democrats in general don't talk about, like, America is great. They just kind of shy away from that. The epitome of what you would go, oh, American exceptionalism.
Right.
They didn't shy away from it at all this time. They went all in on those feelings and lines and sayings, which typically falls into the Republican side of things.
Oh, and it was definitely, for me, it was a convention that was squarely aimed at centrist and moderate Republicans.
Oh yeah.
Which upset the Bernie Sanders supporters who were heckling from the floor.
Except then you have Sanders sitting there completely endorsing Hillary, like, not even questionably endorsing.
No, it was full-throated.
Full throat, like, he's not messing around.
No.
I mean, there's definitely a thing with me where it's like, well, if your candidate is supporting this person, if you don't want to do that, like, you clearly have your own ideas of what you want, which is fine, that's politics, and that's great. But move on. Start focusing on how then you can work at getting a candidate to the top of the ticket that you actually want to see. Like, that's fine. It's just not going to happen this year. So time to put your force someplace else. Like, I mean, Seattle, we have Savant, a full-on socialist on the city council. Like, she ran as a socialist. And won. And she's now won multiple elections here. I mean, people that want very progressive, very more socialist policies, well, start from the ground up. Like, you're going to have to build that support.
Well, and that's what he's telling his supporters now. I think it was yesterday or today, he's telling them, take this energy and run for office. Like, this is how we change our country. And the interesting thing, a couple of interesting things from the DNC in terms of Bernie supporters. But because of Bernie's campaign, the Democratic platform is far more liberal than it ever has been.
Oh yeah, they got a bunch of stuff in there.
So for his supporters to kind of give up halfway because their person didn't win, or how they view Hillary in some way, means that progressive platform would also lose. So it's kind of you're halfway there. Let's not give up now.
Yeah.
But during one of my good friends one of my friends from church is a delegate from California. And every single morning, the Bernie supporters would interrupt every single speech at the breakfast, chanting, wouldn't let anyone talk. And then, they would organize their protests on the floor. And during the third night, when Obama was there, Sanders sat behind the California delegation and would talk to the whip of the California delegation, telling him to get his people in line, that they were not going to be doing that on the floor.
Wow.
So he was not only endorsing Clinton, he went to every delegate's breakfast and said, you guys need to, if you stand up, turn your back on the Hillary when she's speaking or whatever. Like, it just makes us all look bad, and it gives the Republicans more energy. So, Bernie was trying to, rein him in a bit, which was hard because they didn't want to be reined in, especially those Californians, which is my state.
I saw a thing from Washington. They turned out the lights on the Washington area at one point.
Right, yeah, I saw that too.
I was like, of course, that makes sense. Which is fine. I don't really want to belabor anyone if they're like so passionate about it. I'm like, that's great. We need passion in politics. You need to care.
Absolutely.
I mean, you wrote it on Facebook. It's not a spectator sport.
Yeah.
Like, democracy isn't. You have to be involved. If you want to be involved, be involved.
Right.
And that's what it takes. And if these people are so excited, that's great. And hopefully that energy can get redirected. I know some of them at least will get redirected into doing great things locally and starting to push what they want. Like, honestly, the Tea Party did that.
Yep, exactly.
It really did. Like, it came out, like, that is a push from the very different than the neocon. And they're just like, no, we want a right-leaning platform that is very socially conservative, like this.
Yeah.
And they worked very locally, and they built a coalition around that. And we're just kind of seeing the ends of that at the moment, but they did it.
Well, and that's what I like, the idea of go run for office. Like, these ideas, I agree with most of his ideas. Like, go run for office and make this change. We've already, by me running for office, we have made a huge change in the Democratic platform. This is how change happens. And the thing that's interesting to me is, I think if you look at the demographics of Bernie supporters, I think it's fair to say that it kind of skews white.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe even white male.
Yeah.
So that's a group, historically, I feel like, who has had a strong voice in a lot of arenas, and when they want to get something done, they get it done. So by having a campaign, the length of a campaign, this campaign, like 7-9 months, something like that, and they didn't achieve their goal, that's kind of like a shock almost. Like, we need to achieve this. Like, we wanted to do it. Like, let's get it done. When this kind of change takes, if not generations, a decade, 2 decades, like, it takes a long time to get this stuff going. It's not immediate results. You have to go back and run for, lesser office and get these ideas to percolate up. And
well, because even if, let's say, this is kind of, I feel like, when people want a third political party, be that Green Party, Libertarian, or something else. Let's say magically you got the Libertarian, Gary Johnson, got elected. He's not going to be able to do anything there.
Not with Congress.
Not without Congress or support in the state and other federal positions. Like, it's not just one person can't just do this. Like, sure, the president can do some changes. They can do executive orders and things like that. But they also don't have as much power. Like, they can't make law.
Right.
That's not part of their like, people forget that. I'm like, the president can't make the law. Like, we always talk about the Obamacare, ACA. Like, we name it Obamacare. He didn't make that law.
Right. It was
He supported that law. He worked with Congress to make that law.
Well, his ideas are the driving, not just his ideas, but
I know, but he isn't the one who brought that. Like, he championed the cause.
Right.
But the law had to be created by, who was it, Pelosi?
It was a Democratic coalition in the Congress, for sure. Yeah.
That actually wrote the law and, like, did the groundwork for it. And it's like, if you don't have that coalition in Congress to do that stuff, you're not making any change.
That's right. Well, and I think that's one of the beautiful things about the country is that the checks and balances, for as frustrating as it has been for me over the last 8 years, like, it keeps things in check, and it keeps things fairly balanced.
It does, actually.
That works. That's working out.
So, I mean, that's where I'm like, when people are like, we just need a president that will change them. I'm like, one person's not changing it. Like,
and you don't want that. You don't want a dictator. We don't want a dictator.
No, it's set up to be not that way. Like,
purposefully, yeah.
Yeah, this has very much been set up to be like, nope, all of government has to kind of be working together to get stuff moving, and if it's an important change that people want in society, it will stick around for multiple election cycles. And that's when changes actually happen.
Right.
It can't be something that just sways in for like 4 years and goes away.
Right.
It has to be a cultural, societal change that will stick around.
Well, I forget what podcast I was listening to, but it was talking about historically, like third-party candidacies kind of. It was an article I was reading actually. Rise and fall, and the reason why they usually fall is because the major parties co-opt their major ideas.
Yeah.
Which is not necessarily a bad thing. But kind of going back to a comment you made earlier about it being, I mentioned on Facebook that it's not a spectator sport. You got to get involved. And someone had mentioned it is a spectator sport because it's only electoral college and they don't have to vote for who you vote for, and your vote doesn't matter in the presidential election. I wanted to run my face through a window because that means this person had forgotten about Florida in 2000, where it did matter, and your votes really do matter. I hate
it matters. Unfortunately, I would still only argue that depending on where you live, your vote matters less or more. Battleground state, your vote matters a lot.
Well, yeah, no, it has more sway.
Washington state here,
yeah, but
I don't think I of course would always vote, but I'm like, well, I know which way my state's going. There is no. A large portion of the state would have to completely switch for that to change. It's not going to happen.
And I understand the logic of that. I'm in California, so it's probably going to go.
Actually, I think California is probably where it matters a little bit more. California is huge and very diverse.
Right, but it's historically blue, so I could say my vote doesn't matter because if I vote or not, it's going to be the same result. But if that's because that's assuming that everyone else in the state isn't thinking the same thing.
Yeah, and that's where it is. The difference is and that's where I go with well, of course I'm going to vote still, because I want everyone else to vote. It will stay the same as long as we vote.
Right, and that's kind of one of the things that a competitive election is actually good, because if someone's blowing out the other candidate, then their supporters are well, she's going to win or he's going to win anyway, so why would I go vote? Why do I waste my time? And then they don't win because no one went out and voted because they just assumed they were going to win.
I mean, that is 2000.
Yeah, I know. That's why it just drives me nuts when someone says, "Well, my vote for the president doesn't matter." It's and to say it doesn't matter because the electoral college won't vote for
and
it.
In a weird way, even for third party, let's say it was the Green or Libertarian parties right now, your vote does matter if you want to vote for them because you're trying to get them to 15%.
Right.
If they can get to 15%, they actually become legitimate. I don't think that's going to happen this year.
But I don't know. Gary Johnson could.
I think he'll pull around 10 at tops.
Okay.
I think getting an additional 5% is going to be really hard.
Yeah, especially with the Green Party taking. So the Bernie supporters are either going.
Green Party is pulling it around 2 or 3%.
Yeah. Well, you've got anti-vax statements from Jill Stein.
Homeopathy, things like that. But I'm just no. Yeah. And that's the problem with the Libertarian Party is even on Facebook you posted a thing and I actually just watched some Samantha Bee. I watched those segments.
I haven't watched it yet.
Gary Johnson and then the Libertarian convention.
No.
But basically she's I agree with every other statement you're saying. And that's kind of where I feel when I look at the Libertarian Party's policy. I'm I can get behind about half of this.
That's how I feel too. Yep.
And even Gary Johnson is actually probably they show the convention there's a pretty large portion of libertarians that do not like him as the candidate,
right?
Because traditionally, what's considered libertarian, he is not.
Well, and they decided that he might have the best shot nationally,
yeah.
But let's not pretend that him and Weld weren't Republican governors because they were.
Yeah, I mean. They're just actually. I could see if the Republican Party kind of split, I could see the Libertarian Party being kind of more popular because there is a large portion of Republicans that want the fiscal responsibility side of things, more liberty, more smaller government, but are also understand that means being socially liberal.
Yeah,
like not caring about what people do in their own lives, like big deal.
Yeah, you can't exactly be for small government or no government intervention and then say that the government should decide what a woman does with her body.
Exactly, or what drugs people should be allowed or not allowed to use. Like that's part of the thing. Like in the drug war, it's like people are adults. They can make their own decisions.
Yep.
Like, and to a point, it's like, yeah, that's there you go. Like, because I know there's a large portion of libertarians. It's like, no, there shouldn't be any illegal drugs.
Yeah,
like,
right. Everything should be legal.
Like, if you want to do it. Like, but as soon as you hurt someone else, that's our problem.
Yep. Well, and they would say like it's up to parents to police their kids to make sure their kids don't take those drugs, and it's not the government's job. It's the parents' job.
I mean, it's a weird mix because I fall more on the lines of in between that, where I'm like, well, it is a parent's job, but I also feel like you have to look. The government's job is also to look out for the general safety of society.
Right.
So there should be some checks there and to like stop something horrible before it happens potentially.
Well, that's
always kind of like the line I draw there of like, yes, I want people to take personal responsibility, but I also don't want that people's poor decisions to cascade and hurt other people.
That's right. Well, that's the kind of the issue that I had. I read that kind of really long article in the New Yorker about Gary Johnson. Anti-big government, reducing the size of government, but he's really in favor of the EPA because he really likes being outdoor and riding bikes and climbing. He wants like nature to be pristine and beautiful, which so do I. So
actually, I've seen other things where he's talked, and other libertarians have talked about like the EPA going like, well, no one owns the climate, so that's where they feel like government should step in places where it's like clearly like. But not easily said, like, who owns this, who could control this.
But the argument was, at least in this article, and I agree with what you just said, but the argument was that the government has a role in protecting the public, like public safety.
Yep.
So that argument could be used for the FDA, the DEA, the drug war. So it's so subjective, it almost seems like I don't like big government except for the things that I like. Like, well...
honestly, that goes back... That's pretty much every political party at that point.
Right, and I'm fine with that, but don't pretend that you're against big government.
And that's probably why and that's why a lot of libertarians, like a big sect of the Libertarian Party, dislikes him.
Yeah.
Because they don't want any government. There's a very anarchist side of the Libertarian Party.
Oh, yeah.
Who are like... You watch there's a big thing where... I mean, they don't even want driver's license. Like, there's a part of the party that talks that's like, why should the government say who can or cannot drive a car?
Right.
Gary Johnson's against that part.
Yeah, of course.
You can watch the Samantha Bee thing where he gets booed because he says, well, I'm okay with having
I remember reading about that.
Having competency in driving, and they're like, boo! Like, that's funny.
Well, and that comes back to the public safety. So he determines, like, that's a public safety issue. We need to have people who are competent. Where, there are...
And right now, I think that's just a big societal... I mean, and that's why we have a government to determine, and we elect people so that they can generally determine where society wants to draw that line. Because no one person gets to choose that, really.
Right. And as personally invested as I am in this election and having one person win or not, and how third parties could quote-unquote mess that up like it did in 2000, I like the idea of people having discussions about ideas, like looking at the Libertarian Party or the Green Party and saying, I agree with like 60% of what you believe in, but...
Yeah, but that also comes back to the thing where I see people, like, they'll be like... I see a lot of people that are looking for, like, the perfect candidate or the perfect party that matches them.
Not going to find it. There's nothing that's going to
No, I can't find anything. Like, for me, I'm like, I'll just... Fine here. I vote more Democrat than anything, but it's only because they match me 70%, 80% right now. And that's shifted over time, and I'm sure it will. Like, I don't look at anybody and go, oh, they're the perfect fit. I just kind of look at what's important to me and like, okay, which of these parties was actually going to get me closer to that?
Right. Well, and it's, and I've also, for me, I've evolved. Like when I first started voting, I was registered Green Party because I was young and really, really liberal. And I think I've mellowed out a little bit as I've gotten older. But I still believe in most of the values of the Green Party and even up, 60% of the Libertarian Party. Like, I kind of pull from each. And I don't like the idea that we only have two viable options. However, I think without like a parliamentary system, I don't know how a three-party or four-party system would work, because you would have a president who was elected with 34% of the vote.
Yeah.
Which meant the majority of the country didn't want you as president.
Yeah,
and that's going to be a fucking mess.
And can you explain the parliamentary for people who don't actually understand that? Because it wasn't until like a year ago that I finally understood how that all worked.
So basically, a parliamentary system is where you're voting for, locally a member of the party. Let's say there are 4, 5, 6 parties, and then no party has a majority in parliament. So then they start building coalitions with other parties that kind of align with them. Like the Democrats and the Green Party might build a coalition, and the Libertarians, or even the Libertarians too, or Libertarians and Republicans, or you could see, because there's enough common ground between Libertarians, Green, and Democrats, for example, you might see them come together, and then they nominate the prime minister.
Yep, it's not direct.
Exactly. So when you're voting, you kind of know who the prime minister would be if this party got into power or this party joined with that party, but it's not.
I can only assume that they say that during the election cycle.
Oh,
like the parties say like this is the person that we would be behind.
Well, and they're the face of the party, like David Cameron. David Cameron's out there campaigning for his party, because if his party gets into power, he is prime minister.
Yeah.
So
Canada does that.
Canada's the same way, exactly. Yeah. So it gets you away from, only 20% of the country voted for the Tories, but we have a Tory prime minister. Well, the Tories were 20% of the coalition that had 10% of this and 5% of this. They were the largest part of the coalition, and then they voted. So it just makes more sense if you have more than two parties. But because of the way that we have direct democracy, the country would implode if we had a president. I mean, it nearly pulled apart at the seams when the Supreme Court put Bush in there.
Yeah. And that's a good explanation, because I don't think people think the multi-party thing through that much. And I only heard that argument that you mentioned, like I said, like a year ago. And I was like, oh, that is probably one of the best arguments I've heard of why it'd be hard to have a third or fourth party here, and have it work out well.
Yeah, and I think that's just the inertia that's kept it from happening.
Yeah. Which is fine. Like, I don't know. It's pretty interesting to me, honestly, how the governments differ around the world, and how democracies differ around the world, just slightly, and how drastically that changes the voting process and the whole electoral process.
Right. Yep. Well, it was crazy, and I just I want to say, for the DNC to see a woman be nominated for quote unquote major party for the first time is something pretty awesome to see. Even if you don't, I like Hillary. I don't love Hillary, but it was really a cool moment for a lot of people.
Yeah. There's definitely, like I said, I was home alone. My wife and son had already gone, so I watched it with my daughter, who's not even 4 yet. We were just sitting there on the couch, but she was watching and fixed, and I was just sitting on the couch kind of behind her, and it was like, it made me really notice. I'm like, this is really important. And I had known it was important before, but at that moment it was like, holy crap. For her, this is a changing thing. Like, she's not recognizing it, but growing up, she will know that, hey, even if Hillary doesn't win, that it's very clear that there'll be more women nominated in the future. So, this is a thing that can happen. You want, like my daughter, you want to become president? Just go for it. Try it.
Yeah, you really need
nothing's stopping you.
You really need to see models in the world for you to kind of think, I can do that.
Yeah.
Like for right now, like women who grow up watching, or girls who grow up watching baseball, there's no avenue for them to go play baseball, so they don't grow up thinking they can be baseball players. But now,
Exactly.
They'll start, and it's nice that it's normal for your daughter, or will be normal for your daughter. Like, oh yeah, there's a black guy as a president, there's a woman as a president. Like,
anyone in the country, if that's what they want to do, they can try to do that.
Yeah, and that's the great thing about democracy. Although there is like the tyranny of democracy, where like you get enough people together who vote for a really bad thing. I mean, Hitler was elected democratically, so there's that possibility. It's not.
It wasn't as clean cut as that, though. But reading through over history stuff, like he was elected democratically, but he also did some shady stuff before.
Oh, of course he did.
To get that to happen.
Yeah. No. And I think it's fair to say that shady things happen here too.
Yeah.
So, and are happening right now. So.
Yeah.
But I thought that as a political junkie, the conventions were fun to watch.
They really were.
Gave me a lot to think about and a lot to argue with my friends about.
I can tell.
Oh my God.
I've had to hide a few of posts because they keep of your posts that keep popping up because I'm like I can't read more.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. You should probably just unfriend me from now till the election.
No, it's not what you post. It's just once usually it's fine like what you post. It's that how Facebook when other people start commenting on it.
Oh yeah.
It starts constantly popping back up.
Right.
And it shows me what the latest comments are, and I'm like, I refuse to comment on Facebook on politics.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing.
Honestly, because I don't feel like there's any way I'm ever going to convince anyone of my position.
That's right. Yeah.
And at that point, and they're not going to convince, and the other side's not going to convince me through typing on Facebook. So why are we having this conversation?
Right. That's true.
I mean, I'll have conversations with people like this if they want to just sit at a bar and have a beer and talk. Sure. Online, no, not interested. I'm not going to sway your opinion with my giant posts of like read this and that, and it's like that's not what people want to hear on that. That's not what they're doing. So
no, that's not what people want Facebook for.
No.
I was thinking about it earlier today. I was like, man, every 4 years I must be so fucking annoying to people because it's just like political post after political post.
Mostly you just reshare things.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Fun. I'm just reading all the time.
There's really a lot of interesting things in there. I read a ton, but definitely I'm just like, no, state. And I have people on my friends list that are far worse than you. Like you're just like loaded. They're not even just sharing; it's just like loaded political posts, like every day, and then they just get into giant diatribes with people that they're going to argue against them. Like I'm like, why are you doing this? There's going to be the same people are going to counter you, and you're going to counter them, and just keep going, and then you get like 47 posts. And I'm just like, why are you guys? Why is this? At this point, I'm just like, you must just enjoy doing this.
Yep. Some people just like to argue.
Like that must be the point. Like this isn't actually like you trying to convince anybody. You just want the argument.
Yep. And I have several friends who are like that, and sometimes it's really annoying because it's just like, no matter what I say, you're going to be contrarian.
Yep.
So what's the point? Yeah. And
yay, social media.
Yeah. Yay, contrarians too.
Oh, that's true. I've dealt with those in real life as well.
Oh yeah, me too. It's good to engage, and it's good. That's a healthy democracy when people are sharing news and talking about things, and not being locked up in jail for disagreeing with someone. That's always
exactly. Good. But it was fun to watch both of those. I watched less of the RNC. I was working and but I honestly didn't watch a ton. I watched DNC speeches after the fact because it was usually close to over by the time I could have actually sat down to watch it. Right. But I did watch the final night of the DNC.
Mm-hmm.
Just put on YouTube on the PS4 and just watched.
For me, it was I watched Michelle Obama's speech, which I thought was the best speech of the entire 4 days.
Yeah.
Second night,
second night was like Biden. Who else? There's one.
No. Second night was Clinton. Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton. Kane was night 3.
Great.
And then Obama also in night 3. President.
You got to tell, like, President Obama is such a good speaker.
Oh my God.
He knows how to write a speech and knows how to deliver a speech.
Yep, he is so good. And, you know, I don't need Hillary Clinton to be a great speech giver. She's not. She's not. I just need, if she wins, I need her to be a good president. But, man, Obama is just amazing at speaking. Really.
He really is. And Bill Clinton speaking as well.
Yeah.
You remember, like, oh yeah, you're really good at speeches too.
Yeah.
Like,
I like Howard Dean's speech at the end where he started screaming, "We're going to California, we're going to New York," just like he did in 2004.
Oh, Dean.
Yeah, imploded.
But my favorite thing from the entire convention of both of them is Bill Clinton with balloons.
Oh my God,
he loved those. The whole thing was watching. I was like, it was in the background. I'm like, is that Bill kicking balloons around and bouncing? Oh God, he looks so happy.
He looks so happy. There's also there's another gif of Hillary next to Bill when he's playing with balloons, and that the fireworks go off, and her face is just like.
It's the most hypnotic gif ever.
Oh my God!
I just have it on repeat, and I'm just like, why am I watching this over and over and over and over?
So good.
But Bill with the balloons. Oh my God.
Yeah. Just the joy in his face. He was just like.
I'm just like, man, you are so done and like. Done with the stresses of politics in so many ways.
Yeah.
Just like, look it, I love balloons.
It was great. Well, thanks for talking about politics with me.
No problem.
We'll probably have to let our listeners go. But we'll talk next week when I actually have furniture, so that'll be nice.
It's true.
Until next week, we'll see ya.
All right,
Enjoy.
good night, everyone.
Stay informed. Did you say good night, Oakland?
Good night, everyone. Sure.
Okay.
Good night, Oakland.
Yeah. Good night, Oakland.
Seattle.
Good night, Tulsa.
Wherever.
Yep. All right, man. We'll see you next week. Talk to y'all later.
Later.